Oh, we're live. Hi. Welcome back to the Prusa SL1 and CW1 live stream series marathon. Today, we will get this thing printing. That's the plan. I've already seen some snarky comments in chat. So, what we did yesterday, let's sum up. I built the SL1. I was planning on getting it printing, however that took a bit too long, unfortunately. So this took 5 hours to assemble. I did not get it printing. There was one issue, and that was with the liquid filament, with the resin sensors. So basically, I think what's happening is this bed is getting like a capacitive charge or something. This essentially turns into a touch sensor, and it moves down onto the resin that's in the vat, and tilt mechanism is working, and actually senses whether that is whether there's resin there, whether it's detecting that resin, just like in a touchscreen. And on the topic of touchscreens, I should probably put my phone into flight mode. So now, you guys were commenting about lock washers. I should concentrate on one thing: lock washers. And there's a picture of it here in the changelog for the SL1. There are like 5 changes listed here, and 4 of them are in the manual, or 4 of them are, or 3 of them, I guess, technically, are in the manual. And one of them is add a lock washer, or one of these serrated washers, underneath one of these screws up here. So that could be the issue why that sensor is not working. I don't want to go through the ordeal of actually calling up Prusa support and trying what they do, or trying out how good they are with figuring this sort of stuff out. I may do that in the future, but for now we can run this machine without the sensor. So that may or may not be an issue with my build, or it may be just a serial issue with the printer. You get the idea. So online manual, that is a good suggestion, CW3D. However, I guess I can show you the online manual actually easier than I can show you the paper manual. So yes, yeah, all that's left to do for today is to actually get this thing printing. Now, let me know. There is actually a test print saved on the printer itself, because this has a 32-bit system in it. This has a proper Linux system with flash storage and everything you need on there. So as we turn that on, there is a print already sliced. Actually, let me consult the manual, what that says on how to get it printing. Now, should we just print whatever is included, or should we try and slice our own part in Prusa Slicer? Let me know in chat, but don't spam emojis, please. Probably not going to do a benchy. Now, we do need roughly is this not, did you not save that we did the, I thought we did that already yesterday. It needs to be something that we can print relatively quickly, and I'm going to say less than an hour. Torch to test. I'm guessing we're going through the mandatory calibration again. Tiny sword, calibration print is nice. I'm not printing calibration cubes, that's for sure. And if you have a part suggestion, post the Thingiverse ID, the Thingiverse thing ID, that's the last bit in the URL. YouTube won't let you post URLs, but you can post the ID and I can look up what that is. And people in chat can look that up and see, whether there's something that should actually be printing. So I'm trying to figure out whether there is instructions for actually getting this thing printing, and there is. So we need to connect to the internet and download the latest firmware updates. So I'm guessing we should do that after we run through the calibration again. Keep clean at all times. Use the bundled drip tray when filling tanks or removing prints. So I guess that's what that is. That's still in here? Yes. And that's this piece. So I'm guessing that fits. How does that? Oh, do we just put that over? I'm guessing that's like a skirt for this thing. Why did you not get a notification, native exception? Well, maybe you should be following on Twitter or Facebook where I post these streams. Clean with warm water. So the film is still pretty tight. Hasn't ripped yet. Start. Remove the accessories box, take the printer out of the box, or build it. The unpacking wizard will do the rest. Loosen the black knob and remove the platform. Close the lid. So I don't know why we have to go through the calibration wizard again. We already did that yesterday. Does the printer have a resin heater? Not one that is actually actively controlling temperatures. But I think it is controlling the internal temperature by regulating the exhaust fan. You guys settle on a print. I'll check back in a minute after I dig through this 3D printing handbook. So this is basically what takes over after you finish the assembly manual. If you have just the assembled printer and don't get to build it yourself, this is all you're getting. You're just getting the handbook and not the assembly manual. At least I think so. Unbox some stuff. Self-test starts. Calibration wizard that takes you through, I mean that's done through the LCD anyways, which is right now warming up the UV LEDs. Is my clock correct? No, it is not. It's actually an hour off. Use touchscreen to navigate. Okay. Updating the printer's firmware. If you don't have the printer connected to the internet, you can update the firmware using a USB drive. That sounds like fun. So yes, this printer does have Wi-Fi and Ethernet, wired Ethernet built in. So you can actually ban people in chats through the printer? No. But I can ban that manually. Goodbye. So you can actually upload stuff to the printer through Wi-Fi or Ethernet. I guess there is a web interface which I haven't tried. I would think there's integration with Prusa Slicer because it just just makes sense that way. And Prusa Slicer does support Octoprint, so I would assume that they do support uploading to their own printer. Time zone, Ethernet. I don't think we're going to be setting up networking today. If anything, we're going to do USB printing because networking can be a hassle, and especially when you're using that internet connection for streaming. Yeah, often doesn't go too well. Can you see the company logo? Yes, we did that yesterday. You look at the printer from the top and you can actually see the Prusa Research roughly there. Do not open the lid. Yes, I can see it. Secure the resin tank with the resin tank screws. I already did that yesterday. Why did it not save it? Was it because it wasn't successful? Because the resin sensor didn't work? Don't think I'm printing a benchy today. Come on. Oh, there we go. Why are we getting noise on the left channel? What is wrong with that? Don't you love batteries? Because the plug is not all the way in. That's why we're getting noise in the left channel. Yeah, that's better. Okay, so where do we stop? Yeah, so apparently somebody noted before we got audio back. What did they note? I already forgot. There you go. Whatever. Resin sensor not working. Okay, got it. Now we can print. So, let's check chat and see what things were suggested. Do we have a overall agreement of what we should be printing? There's a thing. I will not show you guys the browser because I don't know what you guys are sending. Why can I not copy that, please? Thingiverse? Thank you. And if Thingiverse wasn't god-awfully slow today, that would be absolutely fantastic. So have you guys agreed on a part? You guys figured it out, right? You can see the browser reflection on the lid. Oh yeah, you can. Ah. Perfect. You can zoom in and enhance right there. Printing an invisible car. That's something I think we can say for holy crap. Let me see. So if in 1 second here. This has been printed now, or printed, shown. Now the fact that there is no prints, or no photos of successful prints, that's kind of scaring me. It would be an excellent test print though, but yeah, I don't think that's gonna work. Do we have audio at the screen cap? Yeah, okay. Yes, so you can go on without the sensor. Actually, if we jump over here, you can just go in here and say advanced settings, and you can turn the resin sensor caution disability to fail prints. Yes, disable. That's what you can do. So I think that's what I'm going to do for now. We may actually, where are those screws? Problem is that we're not getting to those screws anymore that get the serrated washer. Right? Yeah, because what we've got here, this bit right there, is actually somewhere at that level. So it's behind the vat, underneath the cover, so we'd have to take the entire bottom shroud off again to get to that. Ooh, there are actually resin prints for that. Yeah, it's that, so that, there we go. That benchy is a bit crazy. So let's keep looking through. Cute mini octopus. I guess we can do that. That looks like fun. We can test the living hinges. And if we scale it down, it should be a fairly quick print. printed at once. And that is a nice challenge for actually getting the washing station tested, because these internal bits obviously will glue together if they're not completely washed. So that's what we're going to do. Hello, Erbium. That is a fancy symbol you have next to your name. YouTube member for 1 year. Thank you. That is awesome. All right. So yes, this is the part we're going to be printing. It is settled. Thank you for these suggestions. So we will be doing the spiral support spiral. I guess the spiral looks cool. Thinking that's just how the legs are laid out. Now I need to find Prusa Slicer. There, I've already installed the newest version, so that is, get out of here. Adobe. Realtek. BT Sync. There we go, there is our Prusa Slicer. It is still configured to the Raptor. Did I not? 210, I think that is the newest one. Correct me if I'm wrong. So for now we don't need that. We do need that. Yes, finish. So that should adapt to the SL1 settings. There we go, and that bed is tiny compared to the Raptor. Lars, thank you for the €1. The fact that the resin sensor doesn't work because of no resin is not an issue, because as you can see, we're actually not, so the way it's calibrating is it's actually just sensing the top surface of the vat, and not the resin itself. So for calibration specifically, you do not need any resin in the vat. And I think it would actually be detrimental if you had resin in there, because it would throw the capacitance of this entire thing off. Possibly, I don't know. I need a new mouse pad. What mouse pad? Need a new table. Sam Harris, is that your octopus? Do you design that? Thank you for that. I'm hoping you're okay with me using it. Okay, so Prusa SL1. I have never sliced anything with the Prusa slicer for SLA. Filling the tank, shove some resin in it. Okay, that sounds easy enough. Tighten screws simultaneously. Can we like move this this bed up? I think we can. Secured, there's a max level, okay. Starting the first print. Easy enough. I don't think there is... Try listening for the typical noise that comes with the layer separation. We will try and listen to that. And then as that prints, we can... Disposing of resins. Okay, that's nice that they're taking care of that, or at least noting it in manual. And while that's printing, we can try and unbox the CW1, which is still behind me, which I think you can see on that camera. There's the accessories box and the CW1 underneath. Audio is crap. Audio looks good to me. Don't forget to level the bed. So the bed is actually still in the same position. It should still be in the same position because we do have that feature where we have this joint right here that is still clamped in place. So the positioning should be identical. Audio is good. Thanks for that feedback. Okay, tiny USB drive. You may be getting a bit of rattling from a zipper here, but otherwise it should be okay. Scraping. Well, the scraping is the mouse. I mean, I can try using the manual if that's better. There we go. There's a good mouse pad for you. All right, where's our downloads? Downloads, octopus, spiral. get in here. Okay, so that's too big. But thankfully we do have a scale feature. Do we have a scale to fit? I think somewhere, but what is that? Split two objects. Oh yeah, because all these legs are individual bits. You can just keep scaling it down. Now this, I'm told, is like bad practice for resin printing, actually sticking parts to the bed. You're supposed to suspend them in midair. I do want to try it like this. So for SLA prints, actually the only indicator that matters for print time basically is your Z height. So we're 33 millimeters tall with the 0.04, that's 50 micron. Okay, that makes sense. 0.05 millimeter layer height, which means we have, where's our layer? Where's my mouse even? There's my mouse. Do we get a layer count? We get it somewhere, I think. Oh, well, okay. That answers that. It auto suspends it with supports. So supports are by default on. It creates a pad below the object. What if you do a round object? Doesn't suspend it? Okay, so this will actually set it down onto the bed. This may be tricky to remove, I think, but like there's no way we're going to be able to print it with it suspended with just like one little pin on each leg. I like the colors on this SLA print. So there is a pad. This is kind of like tabs when you're CNC milling. So these tabs actually help keep each part in place, I'd assume. So these are like sideways supports. I don't think we actually need them because these will yeah, stick pretty well. So now it's propping it up again. So if you say none, then the little snoot is not going to support it. And that's propping it up again. So I don't actually want to print it like this because that is literally impossible. That is not going to work. I'm actually going to go with none, and I'm just going to see how the snout comes up, because this is an impossible overhang. Overhangs work the exact same way in SLA as they do with FDM. Wait, but we can, hold on, give me that. Are we in object mode? We can actually do the following. We can do SLA support points. What is this? I've never used this. Let's do manual editing. Let's do that. Oh, we can move those. You can, whoop. Okay, so if we say remove all points, if we say head diameter, so I'm guessing if we just click this, yes, we're adding support points. So we got a few support points there. Some object on there, and then I guess we have to apply. Not getting support yet. Guess we need to turn that on everywhere. Nice. Not nice. Why do we have two? What? Why do we have two instances now? I mean, that's basically what we want, but I don't want this lifting up. One of the versions has built-in snout support. I guess I should use that then. This is exactly what we want, but we don't want this actually lifted from the bed. I'm sure we can go in here and say support and say somewhere. But let's just go back to Thingiverse. Thingiverse, where are you? Where art thou? There you are. Why are you on a different screen all of a sudden? Come on. Ah! This mouse pad is weird. So let's just go with that. I'm sure we could figure it out somehow, but for now, I'm just going to go with the pre-made one. And yes, as you guys have pointed out, actually scaling this down will be a resolution test, more so than the full-size one. But I'm pretty confident that the... oh yeah, that's perfect. That's actually almost perfect SLA supports. I'm pretty confident that the tolerance is going to be good enough, because obviously it is made for SLA, I think. Come on, let me grab you. Did I say it's made for SLA? It's made for FDM, and if it works on FDM, I'm sure it's going to work on SLA. So if I actually look at this, yeah, there is plenty of space here. Of course, these are almost horizontal overhangs, so that's going to be interesting. We're 1 hour 17 minutes. Let's go down a bit more. There's going to be a tiny, tiny octopus. 1 hour 5 minutes. So for scale, each of these squares is 1 centimeter. So that's like a 2 centimeter octopus at most. Which is, I mean, that's what you get with test prints. 55 minutes, export, let's go. Please insert a disk. Don't want to show you guys everything that's on my computer. Save. Masked SLA file exported. Let's actually check out what that file looks like real quick. So we've got the USB disk. So what you get is an SL1 file. Can we open that with 7-zip? Oh, we can. So this is a, this mousepad is weird. This is a, get back here, a zip file with config.ini. So action print, there's a name, 7.5 seconds exposure time. I guess that's what the printer needs. Profiles, print time, stuff that the printer itself is going to display, and just a bunch of layers. So these are PNG layers, I believe. Yes. So we open one of these up, and that is what... This mousepad is incredibly weird. I think the different colors don't help either. So that's what one of the layers looks like. And we cannot click through here, but if we start with the first layer, or like layer number 5, you can see something that I don't actually like, because this is being printed on supports. Good thing we checked. So now we can actually print it at a decent size. Yeah, thank you for pointing that out. 50 minutes. That's better. So let's close in 7-zip. Yes. So that is exported to that file. So now we have one that is actually a decent size. Turn supports off. Yes, yes, yes. Add a drain hole. So this is not printed hollow. This is printed solid. And we can actually go into the layer preview. And yes, you can. You should. Can you see layers? No, you can't actually zoom in far enough to see layers, but you can obviously do the slicing move. So this is what the part looks like inside. No support looks okay. And there is a pretty chunky, solid bit at the head, but I'm going to leave that in because that is something that you may actually end up printing at some point. And if that doesn't work, then we should know about it. Save changes, yes. So let's get the printer prepared. We need to fill in some resin. We need to safely eject the USB drive. Where did that notification go? But the drive is gone. Yep. So that goes in here. Nose will fall off? I don't think so. So recalibration. Is that the entire calibration process? What if I just want to do a bed level? So it gave me, the print actually gave me like tilt movement calibration times. I'm hoping the default is going to work, because otherwise I'm thinking Prusa Slicer would have told me to enter the values now. But yeah, we need to move the home platform. Platform goes up. This will fail. Why will this fail? Make it heavy enough to fall off. Leg will not be able to move. I need someone to read chat. Okay, let's read chat. Read chat. DSLA needs to be repaired. They were repaired. I left supports on. No, that was like half an hour ago. This should be fine. I'm rich and I don't care about resin. That's actually not true, but it's how much resin are we using? Where's the preview? 1 milliliter. No holes, there are no holes. Nose, the nose has support. Guys, I'm just going to print this because obviously one of us doesn't have a clue. So we will be using the tough orange resin, which is exactly what is included with the SL1 kit. So that is Prusa's own resin. The head is too big, the legs are too small. It's SLA, guys. It's meant for detail printing. No, well, you guys do it next time. Stop, what? Bubbles. It's gonna squeeze out the bubbles. Let's see how many bubbles we actually get. So before I open it up, I'll actually grab some gloves. You know what, guys? I did a live stream build of the Init A8 with no public video, just posting it on Twitter, not posting about it on YouTube, doing an unlisted stream. That was fun. Just not having chats to worry about, and we're just a handful of people actually here. So, will we get bubbles? Yes, we will, but not too many. And that should be way more than enough. That's about 70%. That should last for a few prints. So PSA about resin safety, yeah, the obvious stuff. Wear gloves, don't get it on your skin, don't breathe the fumes though. Yes, it does smell like resin. It does smell almost like the Elegoo stuff. It's not, I mean, you can smell that it's resin, but it's not nasty in any way. This thing is bouncing around a bit. So I think I'll level out this foot before we start. Do we have fume extraction? So the printer itself has an activated carbon filter in the back. So back here it's actually exhausting air out of the printer. That is taken care of, but I also have some fresh air, energy recovery, ventilation going on in the studio. So yeah, that's good. So resin pouring, no issue. I will take off these gloves now. It does not smell bad so far, but we'll keep an eye or a nose out for how much it starts smelling once the fan starts spooling up. So thank you CW1 for the new membership. And guys, if you don't like Patreon, you can also do the YouTube membership thing, which is $5 a month, and you get the badge and you get the same perks as the YouTube Inquisitor, the Patreon Inquisitor tier, which is a roughly once a month live stream where you can ask anything you want. So there is our reflection. Nice. There we go. So yes, I took these off with bare hands because there's literally no resin on them. You never know if the bottle has some spilled resin or something on it, but in this case, this was fine. I turned up the autofocus speed on the camera, so it should be a bit faster. Now, what I'm gonna do here real quick is try and find my YouTube Studio window. There it is. Ignore chat for now. And what I'll do to get some of the bubbles out is go in here, Control, Home Tank. That's going to squeeze out some of the bubbles. How long print time? A bit under an hour, which should be enough to unbox the CW1 and read through the manual. Can I recommend this SLA 3D printer? Home Tank, oh, that's that, okay. Can I recommend this SLA 3D printer over others? This is literally the first print. Like, this is the worst moment to recommend a product if you have literally never used it. So it looks like we can't actually shove the tank or the vat, the build platform into the vat. So let's just go for it. It may have some bubbles in it. It does not have a print preview. So that's something I kind of liked about the Mars, which you can see in the background there, where the LCD just shows you a quick thumbnail of what you're printing. It actually shows you a folder overview, where instead of just the labs icon, I guess here, the flask icon, it shows you an actual quick preview that the slicer integrates. This doesn't have that, so it's just USB, it's the file size, it tells you when it's been sliced, it tells you the print time, 225 layers, layer height. This maybe should be telling you the material use as well, though that is saved in the printer, and if the resin sensor works, it's actually going to check for whether you've got enough resin in there. Change exposure, well. Resin volume measurement is turned off. Oh, I can smell some resin smell. It's being blown out. So it is agitating the resin a bit, so I'm guessing that is maybe for getting bubbles out. And it looks like we're exposing. So obviously this is so you're getting a preview of what's being exposed at the moment. But really, there's no. So what I've actually loved from the Elegoo Mars is that you have a pause button where the bed moves up and you can check whether something is actually printing. So I'm thinking I heard something there. So it doesn't look like you can actually do that here, where you actually move the bed up and check the underside, because, well, maybe, yeah, refill I guess would be that. Though you can refill with the bed down as well. We'll let it print a few layers, and then we're going to check in on what it is actually doing and whether it's actually printing. Is it ambient temperature sensitive? So it should do the next one in a second here. It is somewhat temperature controlled. Okay, I talked right over that. It is somewhat temperature controlled on the inside, I believe, because it does have a thermistor. So I would think that they are doing some regulation. So it can work in a somewhat wide temperature range. which they're saying is, where is it? 18 to 32 degrees or something, which we definitely have. It's like 20 degrees in here. More than the maximum amount. Okay, so it doesn't say whether it's actually going to move the bed up in the refill menu. So we're going to let that print for a minute. And we're going to try getting the CW1 unboxed. So I am 80% sure that the CW1 is actually not a kit. I hope it's not. Because I don't think it's any less complex. He does not lit the bed. Okay. So we should be fine actually working on the same table here because this thing is built like a tank. It is not Thomas. You guys are not making any sense. So, congratulations on getting the brand new original Prusa printer. Do we get an English user manual? Yes. We'll have a quick look through that. It's 20 pages. So exposure time is 7.5 seconds per layer, and I think that's also something that they're advertising online. This looks like a spinny bit, like a resin, just made like a tearing noise. This may be that washer bit that spins the IPA, I don't know. Has a little stainless steel ball on it. Power cord, gloves, power supply. Wow. So you get a tiny little Meanwell integrated power supply in the SL1. Here you get a 160 watt external Meanwell supply. That is hilarious. So that is for the cleaning station. Then how do you come out? What are you? Remove the fluid container while machine is turned off. So this looks like the same nubbin that the build platform is fastened to or clamped to in the printer. So it looks like we can actually get the build platform hung up on this. Not sure, we'll have to see what that actually does. $160 watts on this block, and it's the it's a 4-pin. It's the Ultimaker style supply. I think it's the same one the Ultimaker uses. No, but the Ultimaker's got to be more than 160 watt, I think. Get out of here. And it's not a kit. It is completely built. So that's a bit of a relief. I'm guessing there are like 1 or 2 things to assemble, but otherwise this should be ready to go. And there is nothing else in the box. It's just packaging. So that was a nice unboxing. So just to get the reference, it's basically the same footprint, roughly. I think it's a bit slimmer. It's the same hinges up top, same style of hinge up top, same style of acrylic hood. Then inside here, you get your little fryer box. Basically, you have your stainless steel container, you have your deep fryer basket. So you put in your raw resin you put in your raw resin prints. This thing heats up to like 250 degrees. You put some oil in it, you fry it, and then you have fully cured parts. And then in the bottom here, you can see the grill where basically just you have your gas flame that heats up the basket. So that's a fairly simple concept. There you go. It's basically a little compact deep fryer. You should probably change the oil between curing SLA parts and making your fries in this. That's a good size. So yes, by the way, this is not a deep fry. This does not heat up resin or oil or anything. This is to keep a healthy supply of IPA in here. On the bottom here you have, this thing spins. There's a belt on here. There is what looks like a belt on here. So this thing spins. I'm guessing there is magnets underneath here that spin, where are we? This guy. So this little rotor, yep, sits on here, clips on here, and there's like a chemical stir mixer thing. So when you actually chop this in the stainless steel bin, this should spin around on the inside there. So you have like a contactless spinning motion, and it can actually spin the outside through the container. So that's how that works. They should just do like a deep fry version of this and bring it to fairs and stuff, just for a gag, and make sure that they're not mixing it up. I mean, that would be pretty bad. All right, yeah, but these are actually like catering or gastro containers, restaurant containers, basically for sauces and stuff. So I think these are like standard size, a few bucks to buy replacements for. So I guess makes sense, but they do fit a lot of IPA. And then here's the basket. I'm thinking this should also be a standard part, but it fits. It should fit. Yeah, it fits the spinny bit, and it doesn't interfere with it. The other thing we have in here is these LED strips in the back here. So these are the curing strips. This is UV LEDs in the back. There's like a sensor in here. This looks like some sort of an optical sensor. This is where the actual light shines through. And from what I've seen, the way this is going to work is you wash your part, spins it, cures it, uses the little impeller thing, and sloshes the IPA around. And then once the part is washed, you take it, you put it onto this tray, and then it slowly spins around and gets exposed from the UV light. Now, this does have fans in here, and this looks like it has either a heatsink or a filter, or something like a filter in here, but this looks more like a heatsink. If you look through this, it looks like it's heatsink fans or fins. It is not an ultrasonic cleaner. Like, I just want to be clear about it. This is not an ultrasonic cleaner, which is apparently something that gets into the deeper creases and crevices of your parts. This is literally just sloshing IPA around your part that you put in the basket. So I've seen some comments that say you still need an ultrasonic cleaner, even if you have the CW1, but we're just going to try it out. I forgot to pause the print. No, I just want to let it print a bit. This is almost 2 millimeters, so we can keep going. Now the screen in here is, this doesn't have a built-in power supply, so we do need to use the external one. The screen in here is the classic Prusa Mark something screen. So if you look at that, well, if you look at that, you can maybe see that this looks exactly like the screen that's on the Mark III, and I would be surprised if this is not just a reused screen that they're using on the Mark III anyways. So fan is for drying function, removes IPA fumes. Okay, that makes sense. So, cool. Let's try and see if we can trigger the refill here. So 16%. If we say refill, do you want to add resin to the tank? Yes. Wait until layer finish, so that is curing the current resin. Please refill the tank to the, if you don't want to refill, please press the back button. Done. Stirring the resin, so it is, that what we saw before the print is an actual resin stirring action, so I'm guessing that agitates any color particles and also removes some of the bubbles. What I would do on the Elegoo Mars is actually move the bed physically into the resin vat. Oh, which angle can you see it from? I guess none, really. Oh, back there. I would move the bed into the resin vat, back out and back in and back out. That's the home feature on the Mars. Here it's doing that automatically with the tilt mechanism. So I am hearing a separation noise, but I'm not sure if that's actually the separation. We will see. There's a bit of a click, so I guess that makes sense. We will see at the end of the print. Maybe I should have updated the firmware, maybe they've already added that, though that's going to have to wait for the full review, which of course is coming. This is right now obviously just the first stream. First try. First something. Let's check out the manual before we power it up and plug stuff in. You guys can see the printer printing there still. Okay. I am missing Python Ronan. He was doing a fantastic job moderating the stream yesterday, moderating chat. Unfortunately, I don't think he's here yet. Please check if the acrylic closure fits well the CW1. It fits not too well. That was a why. So, Jakob, that is an interesting point. Could you explain why this is so important? So what we're seeing there is the camera boosting the ISO and turning everything into noise, but down here there's actually a bit of a lip. This is actually hanging over slightly, and there's a 1.5 millimeter gap up front that you can see when you actually look at it like so. Now I don't know if this is actually lots of UV escaping, dangerous for curing. I mean, this UV isn't dangerous UV light or anything. There may be some coming out, yeah, but the 405 nanometer is not dangerous UV light in any way, though I would have expected this to fit better, to be honest. This is low energy UV. It's basically a bit more energetic blue light. And it's not laser light, it's just LEDs. So it's not, I mean, you probably shouldn't stare at it, or stare into the light at full power, but if it's just a little slot there, probably doesn't matter. It's basically black light, yes. Yes, basically. So, stainless steel container, gastropan, magnetic propeller, metal basket for small object washing. Wait, do you just chop big objects in there without anything? Metal container lid with a print platform attaching mechanism. So that's what this is. So what I'm thinking, before I've read the manual, is this guy, you attach your print to it, you fill this guy up with IPA almost to the brim, and then you just chuck that up top. And it keeps IPA fumes from escaping, but you would need, well, I guess there's a bit of a buffer because the bed does add some height, but you do need quite a bit of IPA in these containers. So that's, I guess, a nice feature to keep IPA fumes from getting fumes from getting vented out. Please change SL1 screen to progress. We can change that to progress like that, but we can also change it to current layer. So we've already moved past the legs. The legs should all be printed now. There's progress. Top, I mean, it's not like, I guess you guys can read that. I guess you guys can see that. What kind of UV? It's technically, I think, UVA. It's 405 nanometers. So the least harmful UV light. Unpack the CW1 completely. Attach the power supply and turn it on. Put the propeller in the liquid container. Pour isopropyl alcohol 1 inch below the edge. Wow, that's a lot of IPA. So basically, we're going to fill up this entire thing with isopropyl alcohol. Okay, it's not included. Can hold 4 liters of liquid. I don't have that much. I've got some used stuff. I think we'll have to mix and match them. Maybe you can adjust the hinges. Yes, you can definitely adjust the hinges. So I've bought this 5-liter jug of IPA. So of course, when I say IPA, I mean isopropyl alcohol, not India Pale Ale. This is isopropyl 99.9%. So I'm going to take some of this, and I'm going to take some of the other container stuff. By the way, here's an interesting phenomenon. I should probably be putting on some gloves because this is like filthy containers. Yep. Is there a lid? Yes, there is a lid. This guy. This goes on here. It keeps it from evaporating. Now it's not super tight, but still. So one interesting phenomenon, which is something we have talked about, I think, on the Melt Zone podcast, is you can see all those white flakes on the bottom there. Camera, come on. So I'm feeling like this is actually like partially cured or come on, somewhat cured resin that's like flaking out of the IPA. Let's check the other container that's a bit more. Yeah, so this is doing that as well. This is one that I've been doing the pre-wash in. You can see that there's a lot of like just flaked out resin. I'm hoping that actually means that this IPA is now mostly pure. And yes, the Mars, for example, does include a few paint filters, or filters that are made to paint, which are basically like little cardboard funnels with a mesh at the bottom. So they do include that in the Mars kit, and you can buy those on Amazon for pretty cheap. And I think that does filter out a lot of the stuff already. Put the clear container in the CW1. Nah. Well, I'm gonna fill in some of the IPA here. So yes, are we at that point? Pour isopropyl. I'm just gonna chuck everything from this container in here. You can use a coffee filter. Coffee filter is probably a bit too coarse, maybe. I know what. Let's just get the solids in there as well. It's going to slosh up anyways. I'm going to have to filter the entire container at some point. Anyways, I will be doing 2 things real quick. I'll turn up the flow on my ventilation unit to full speed because we are dealing with volatile liquids, and I'll get some paper towels. That's not all too many paper towels, but plenty. You can hear the ventilation unit working. Coffee filters will be blocked after seconds, possibly. By the way, did we miss a super chat? I think we did. I think we missed a tip. I am terribly sorry about that. It's my excuse here is that the yeah, I didn't have Streamlabs open because I did go back to desktop. I showed desktop on Windows. That was from Joris, 3 years. Have a nice coffee while you print. Thank you for that. I missed that for 20 minutes. I'm sorry. I wish I was a game streamer where you have like natural downtime where you don't have to do anything. I'm having some cold green tea, which I'll place as far away from resin and IPA as I can. You can actually see the IPA fumes. I'm not sure. Training board, missed yours yesterday. I'm sorry about that. That was $3 for please test the BASF Ultra Fuse. I think I did answer that. But thank you for the tip through Streamlabs. By the way, the link for tips is in the video description below. Or you can, of course, use YouTube Super Chat. That also works. Both show up on screen or on stream if they're more than $5. And of course, both are filtered for profanity. But you can try. I mean, I don't mind. YouTube filters it out. So this is a lot of IPA. Yeah, this is full now. YouTube Prusa say it's 4 liters. That's a bit more than a gallon. So, yes, lots of IPA. So this goes in here. Once we, what are we doing? We're doing washing first. So this goes in here and I'm going to put the lid on. Now it's kind of precarious that it's just an open container of flammable, volatile liquid. But I guess we can do that. Thanks for the £5, Eric. First complaining about DuPont wires and now bubbles. Yeah, it's a big complainer, man. But I mean, if it's useful stuff, it still helps. Thanks for that. Okay, workflow. Insert the liquid container, attach the SL1 printing platform with the printed object to the metal lid. Place the metal lid on top of the liquid container so that the printed objects are submerged in IPA. Okay, so this is interesting. You're actually washing the print with the platform attached. What I was doing with the other resin printers was peeling the parts off of the platform and essentially digging through resin and trying to get those sticky, slippery parts off of the platform. Here you just take the entire cured part. In a perfect world, you'd actually never touch a part that could be contaminated with resin. You chuck that in here and you wash it, which of course means you will wash off a lot of resin that's stuck to the platform itself. So the platform itself will always carry a rather large amount of resin just on top and on the sides because it's a lot of surface. Do you need to add the impeller? Yes, I do. You can get silicone lids at Amazon. Nice, there you go, and thanks for that tip. Do I need to add the impeller? Yes, I think I do. Soup's ready. Yes, that just floats in place. Nice, because I don't want to stick my hand in there. Who's asking about the Stream Deck? Pavel is asking about the Stream Deck. Would I recommend the Stream Deck? Yes, absolutely, 100%. This thing is amazing. It's like one of the best streaming accessories I've gotten or I've acquired ever. You can find all the gear that I'm using to do live streaming and to shoot YouTube videos at toms3d.org/my-gear. That link is also in the description below. And those are affiliate links, so if you buy stuff through there, the channel gets a small kickback. Amazon doesn't allow me to say that you're actually supporting the channel that way, but I mean, I'll not finish that sentence because Amazon's going to get upset. Okay. Curing and washing, device info, knobs, unpacking and placement. Open the lid, start the device, preparing the liquid container. Well, it's already told me to fill stuff in. Washing attached to the platform. Okay. Place a protective tray around the resin tank. Wait. Oh, okay. So what I was saying earlier about having a lot of resin stuck to the platform itself, what they're actually telling you to do is to grab this guy, wipe the okay, so you basically place this thing inside the printer. I guess it doesn't say inside the printer, but place it around the resin tank. It doesn't say remove it. But I guess you place this inside the printer, and then while the print is just moving up, or while the print is already in the up position, you just scrape off some resin inside the printer. That's interesting. So if you're using parts that are still attached to the print platform, you don't need the basket. You don't need the cleaning basket. This does fit around the rotor, so the rotor will spin inside these legs. And that is just for curing stuff that is already removed from the bed. And then drying and curing. After you wash the object in isopropyl alcohol, we recommend rinsing it briefly under running water to remove the remnants of the isopropyl alcohol. Here's a note on that. Remove or wash in running water. Running water implies that you're doing it in the sink. However, both resin, even if it's thinned down, as well as isopropyl alcohol, are not things that can go down the drain safely. In the safety data sheet for isopropyl alcohol, it clearly states if you're contaminating your wastewater system, at least in the German safety instructions, if you manage to pour isopropyl alcohol down the drain, or if you get it into the sewage system, you need to contact the local authorities to get them to check it out, because this stuff, isopropyl alcohol, is a biocide. It kills bacteria. It kills living organisms. It's not great for the wastewater treatment plant. Don't wash it with water. Ignore the instructions in the manual. That's what I'm telling you. Or if you have running water, if you have a water tank and you collect all the water you use, that's okay. But do not wash off isopropyl alcohol in the sink, please. Yeah. Mini structure, we'll figure that out. CWT maintenance, spilled isopropyl alcohol. The CW1 is designed to withstand a moderate IPA spill. And thank you P3D Prints for joining on YouTube memberships. That is much appreciated. Guys, should we try out how well this thing handles IPA spills? Should I just, chuck some over it? Supposedly it can withstand IPA, though that is not necessarily, IPA is not something that is very aggressive. See your country's law regarding safe and appropriate disposal methods of IPA in your location. Usually it should be treated as hazardous liquid, because it also contains photoinitiators, the stuff from the resins, polymers, and oligomers, that's like the oily stuff from the resin. You can usually find places for disposing of dangerous liquids near gas stations or fire stations. Never pour IPA mixed with resin into sinks, drains, sewers, but a few lines further up they recommend you washing off your IPA with water. Firmware update, you can update the firmware through Prusa slicers, so I'm thinking this is running a board that is somewhat similar to the 1C. What the is wrong with you guys just recommending to pour it down the drain? No. You know what? 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 No. No. So yeah, I'm thinking this has an 8-bit processor in there. So let's turn it on. So it has that same locking power connector type. Again, this is the very similar Ultimaker supply. I'm thinking they're also using this supply for the Prusa Mini, possibly. Right. Oh, I didn't even turn on my background light today. Oh, censorship. No, Hausrecht. I've seen enough trolls on YouTube that I'm resorting to very liberal ban hammering and temporary muting. And it's my good right to do so, because I'm sick and tired of trolls. So, yes, it's my stream. I can do whatever I want. If you don't like it, watch another stream. Let's turn this guy on. Oh, it is already on. Cool. So yeah, this looks definitely a lot like a Prusa display, or like a Prusa Mark something display. So, start this side. Start washing, runtime, rotation speed. Basically, if you say start washing, just gonna start sloshing around, right? Put the manuals. There we go. That's one of the things, if you have popular streams, you attract the scum of the internet as well. So start drying curing without tank, start washing with tank inserted. Does it have a, let me see, does this have a sensor for the tank? Oh, that must have been what that optical sensor in the back is. So right now we have the IPA container installed. And back here, there's a little like optical, like similar to the distance sensor, I guess, of mobile phones, where it detects whether you have your face up against it. This feels wrong. You've got this little guy back here. This is basically one infrared sender and one receiver, and it basically checks for the tank, which means now that we have the tank removed, this display should actually say, start drying. That's nice. So if you say start drying, does it actually cure? The cover is open, so the timer is on 3 minutes. If you close this, you may be able to see some light. Are we seeing some light? Seeing something? So drying, I guess that is for just venting off fumes. You can trick it into, oh, That's what it's doing, so it's slowly spinning. And the fan is also going in the back. Thinking there's some sort of a filter in there. And we can say stop. Now, how do we actually get into the curing mode? Drying curing. Guessing we just have to let the drying cycle finish, I guess. Long push the button. Jakob, you're actually at risk of YouTube just banning you, all right. Ah, that's nice. I see it if you're just. By the way, if you guys at me, and if you write at Thomas Hauer, then you it actually highlights it in my chat. So okay, you can do curing, just curing, drying and curing, and just drying. So if you say curing, I guess drying and curing will run that cycle where it dries it first and then automatically cures it. So if you just say curing, we can start curing, and oh, you can already see the light shining out. So this is, yeah, there's actually quite a bit of UV escaping when you open the cover because it's, yeah, it's not triggering the button yet. Now it's triggered. So, yes, hi, Eric, that does work. So this is the LEDs. And it is essentially black light. Now, it's still not super healthy to look into these, obviously, because it's still a very strong light source that your eyes aren't adapted to. But I'm wearing glasses, and these actually filter out pretty much all UV light. You can still see the effect of UV light, for example, on paper, because this stuff fluorescate, glows in black light. And if I turn off my studio lights, we can, wow, that actually is very dark. And the camera lens doesn't like that a lot either. You can see that this stuff is starting to glow. This actually glows a lot more intensely IRL than it does on camera. There's a bit of a glow. I'm guessing that is the sensor actually picking up some of the UV light. But yes, that's the curing station light. I'm guessing if you just have resin and you've got like a spill or something or stuff in your gloves, you can just hold your glove in here. Now, this is obviously not the way it's intended to be used, with just poking your finger up there. Oh, look at that. Look at that. That is nice and glowy. Yeah, the camera is definitely picking up a lot more UV light directly than what I'm seeing here. I'm just seeing the blue glow from the paper. All right, what is the SL1 printing? So this should boost the, oh yeah, this is boosting the exposure, but it's the wrong device. What is it printing? It's printing a little test octopus that has like movable legs, and I was hoping there would be a way to actually raise the platform and check inside there, but there doesn't seem to be, so we do actually need to let this complete, and if it doesn't print well, we're gonna try again, I guess. But once it does complete, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take out the bed, we're gonna chuck it onto this bed holder, so it's gonna go, oh, it's already got quite a bit of IPA on there. We're gonna chuck it on this holder, this is gonna go in the tank. The tank has the little stirrer unit in there, and that's going to get agitated by this guy. Actually, let me show you what that looks like. Obviously, do not. So does it go in this way? Oh, it actually goes in both ways. But if you put it in the wrong way, it actually drops down. Okay, so it's supposed to go in one way. It's a bit tight, to be honest. And tight is not great if you have a liquid sloshing around in the container. that is an inch below the surface. So if you go into curing mode, I feel like this is a bit of a remove IPA tank. Yeah, stop. Start washing. Oh, you can actually do that with the lid open. I did not expect it to actually wash that violently. But it is properly stirring that. So if you had the little basket in there, it would still slosh that around a lot. I did not expect it to be that fast. So does it actually care about the lid? It does not. So yeah, obviously once you have the lid, this lid on, not the printer's lid, obviously once you have that lid on, you're kind of taking care of anything that might splash out, and of course of all the fumes that of course are escaping, and I can smell them, escaping the container at this point. So let's put that back on, even though I do have ventilation going on. I don't want to get high on IPA fumes. I don't know if you actually do get high on those, but I don't want to find out. So yeah, the way that works, I showed that before. The base down here rotates, this rotates, and there's a little magnetic spinny thing in there. This has magnets in it, the spinny thing has magnets in it, and basically they're coupled together with that magnetic field so that this can rotate and move without having an actual magnetic physical connection through the tank. There is a spare tank included. Not sure why and how, because I mean, there's no lid for it. You'd need to get an extra lid if you'd actually keep this filled with IPA. But I guess that's a nice touch. These are like $2 or $3, so it's not a huge investment. These are standard parts, Gastropan. Maybe if you want to have a clean and a less clean IPA reservoir, but okay, it's nice, I guess. Placements are fine. Second tank is for frying. That's a good point. Possibly it is. And I would think that this is like okay for food because these are standard gastronomy parts. You can use water with the spare pan, possibly. So yes, I do have the ventilation going in here on full blast. It's not getting everything out real quick. I've had a what's called a VOC sensor, volatile organic compound sensor, in here just while I was washing some parts from the Mars, and it does shoot up really significantly, I think to like 3,000 or 5,000 ppm of, was it that much? A lot. Of VOCs while I had the sensor kind of right next to where I was washing stuff. But yes, do use IPA in a well-ventilated space, which this studio is, and hopefully your printing space is too. Now when it comes to smells off of IPA and off of the resin in here, obviously the SL1 does have a activated carbon filter in the back here, so let me grab a noseful of that. I'm not sure if I'm just not smelling it. I did smell some resin smell just coming out the bottom just a bit ago, but it does have an activated carbon filter in there. I will have to check, like in a fresh workspace that doesn't have a ton of IPA in the air already and a ton of resin smell, whether that filter is actually effective, or actually just, you know, leave the CW1 in place and not touch it because that's going to get IPA vapor in the air, and just run a few prints on the SL1 used as configured. Right, 6 minutes left. P3D Prints asking, I don't have a mask. I do have a mask, however, wearing a mask on stream. Tried it once, did it with the Mars, but it's just, you know, we have to shove the mic in there and it's kind of awkward and it sounds weird and all that stuff. How many prints can you wash with one tank of IPA? A lot. It's 4 liters with this thing, which I think is like 1.5 liters or something. What does it say? 1.7 liters. This wasn't totally full, but something around that. You can wash 20, 30, 40 prints easily, and then it's going to start, saturating likely. I think this is going to be good for well over 100 like medium-sized prints. That would be my estimate. What does the resin smell like? Now that I've told you guys that you can add Thomas Sanadra me in chat so I can see it, you guys are doing that, and I appreciate that, which makes reading through chat a lot easier, unless everyone starts doing that, but it does help. It does help. What does the resin smell like? It smells a bit like chemicals, which is a really bad explanation. It smells like, I guess burnt rubber is close-ish. Burnt rubber with like super hot glue. Somewhere in that smell range. I'm hoping this print is working out. The resins don't smell a lot. Well, they don't smell as badly as the one-host stuff, but they still do smell like resin. And I have yet to experience a resin that is completely flavorless, odorless. It smells like resin. Yeah, sure, I guess. Compared to 2-part resins for jewelries, I have never used those. Epoxy resin smells a bit more burnt than this stuff. So 5-minute epoxy, for example. Oh, we have a mod back. Oh yeah, Daniel is here. Right. Daniel has been here for a while. Yeah, I'm not sure if they're going to have the resin at Formnext. I'm not sure if that is like considered safe on premises, but they're going to have the SL1 there. The thing is just if you have it at trade shows and stuff, if somebody bumps it, you're going to end up with resin spilled or IPA spilled. It's like, yeah. How can one become a mod? Be nice, be present in chat. Like if I see names popping up on almost every single chat or in every single stream, like, and you guys are contributing good answers and being nice to people and just that. I will promote some people. Daniel is also active in the forums, which I'm sorry if I'm kind of letting the forum slide. I'm working on it. So obviously there is like previous evidence there. EPAC 61 versus the Prusa SL1. I've never heard of that printer. So yeah. Will it be at Formnext? It's like everyone's asking me that 2 or 3 times a day. Yes, I will be at Formnext Wednesday and Thursday. Prusa is going to, well, Prusa, yes, obviously Prusa is going to be there. 3D Printing Nerd, Joel is going to be there. Joe from Malta, 3D Maker Noob is going to be there. Stefan is going to be there. It's like everyone will be at Formnext. So yes. Is there a food-safe resin when it's fully cured? Most resins are actually technically safe when they're fully cured. So they are, as long as they're still in the raw form, they're not very healthy. But as soon as they are totally cured, I think they're actually fairly safe. You can touch them, you can handle them. And I think most of them technically are food safe-ish. Like you can print a fork from it and use it. Though that is not something I'm officially going to recommend, and check the material safety data sheet and yeah, check what the official status of that is. How is the cured resin in comparison to P2G in terms of stability and being able to work with default wood tools for mechanical parts? So mechanically it's similar to nothing, really. You can't really do a statement on resin strength and properties just for all resins because every resin is different. There are tough resins, there are soft resins, there are hard resins. The one resin that I've tested, the Formlabs one that they're sending out with the Rook. Something's beeping. And we have a print. Yes! The Formlabs resin that they were sending the samples out with was extremely brittle. It was very hard. It was very strong, rigid, but it was extremely brittle and actually broke or exploded when I tried to compress it in my vise, in my bench vise. Whereas FDM parts, this printer turned off. Whereas FDM parts would actually squeeze and deform. So this thing is, why are you off? Does it actually turn? What? This thing is 100% turned off. So I'm guessing that's a safety mechanism so you don't accidentally start another print. I feel that would be somewhat confusing. Oh, of course, now it wants to do the setup wizard again. I feel that is somewhat confusing that when you come back to a printer and it's just off. There's no print is successful, no nothing. And it stops with the platform in the forward tilted position. So what the manual has actually told me to do is to add the trip tray like that. It's like a little napkin for the printer. And then to use the spatula, which they have included. Seems to be a staple SLA accessory. To use this guy. Who wants free Hulu? The guy that wants to be banned. God, when streams get popular, like there's so little fun for me. Because it's just stupid people in chat everywhere. I mean, not that everyone's like turning into an idiot all of a sudden, but the amount of spammers popular streams attract is somewhat unsettling. Oh, well, the drip tray is not much use if you actually fling the stuff over your desk. So I guess that's what this resin is actually fairly liquid. So the stuff from Elegoo, for example, is a lot gooier, a lot less viscous. I'm guessing you can't actually get that on there. Where's the octopus? You can see it like right there. That's the octopus. That's not how it's done, by the way. That's what the manual suggested. Or maybe read the manual wrong. Whatever. But basically you undo this upper screw, this pulls out. So do I now like get some stuff off? Is that how it's done? I guess that feels like it makes a bit more sense. Okay, whatever. We will deal with the printer itself later. Let's get you out of here. I should have prepared for this. Let's make sure we don't have any resin on our fingers. Open this boy up. Open up there's a drip. There's a drip. Open up the lid. Get this thing on the lid. Get it on the lid. Is it a tiny bit tight? Okay, I still need to practice these moves. And then this just dunks into the IPA. Push the button on the top. Oh, there is a button. I didn't recognize that it was a button. But we got it on, and it's solidly in the IPA, and I guess this is going to wash the bed itself as well. Close this up, and we're going to start washing. this is now doing the sloshing for 3 minutes, I guess. And in 3 minutes, we can check whether that's actually worked. "3D Maker Noob didn't know it was a button either." Well, I'm relieved. Now put the hazmat suit on and clean the desk? Yeah. So what do we actually do with the resin in the spill tray? So I will put this in a safe-ish place. It's like a few drips of resin. I'll just, I guess I'll wipe this out. Try doing this without a proper cleaner. Well, I've tried that with the Mars, and it's been a mess. It's been ugly. It's been, you know, not a great experience, which is why I was, and still am, so excited for this thing, because this is, you know, the cleaning station that I've been waiting for. I do want to close this lid relatively. Well, I guess there's no real UV light around here. This is all LEDs. It's just to make it safe to touch, just wipe it down with IPA. Washing should be done with the lid open. Well, I guess it would tell me that. It can detect whether the lid is open or not. And knowing Prusa and the Prusa team, the amount of stuff they've implemented in the Mark III where the printer itself just knows what's going on, I would assume that is exactly what they would be doing with the CW1 as well. So I'm guessing that's most of the resin cleaned up, or all of the resin to be exact. Difference in print quality from the Elegoo Mars and SL1. I can do back comparison. White LEDs do put out some UV light as they use it to create white light from UV LEDs. That is incorrect. White LEDs use blue LEDs as their base, and it's actually a blue that is fairly far away from UV. So white LEDs are actually 100% UV free. 49 seconds remaining. I'm hoping there's actually IPA getting to the octopus itself, because as we checked the first time, there was that vortex of IPA, and it was actually, you know how a vortex looks like. There's a dip in the center, and that octopus is in the very center. You should not close the acrylic cover while the IPA's tank is in. Well, it would detect it. I mean, I would very much assume the printer should be smart, or the CW1 should be smart enough to tell you that, right? How long would you keep the resin in the printer tank between prints? So some manufacturers say like a week is safe or something. I've kept resin in the printer for longer than that, and it's been fine. George, interesting question. What is the gas mileage on your car? I don't drive a gas car. So I wouldn't be able to answer that. So let's take a nice good look at that little octopus after it's dripped off. Well, you guys don't see anything, so. There we go. So it should never be closed, I guess. I wish there was some sort of a lid included, because there are plenty of situations that require you to take the IPA tank out of the printer with no lid on it, and I don't want to leave this huge container open just to evaporate off. So There's our little IKEA lamp. There's the little octopus. And I would say that looks absolutely marvelous. So if I actually get my face in here, can I see layer lines? I cannot see any layer lines. I can, maybe up front here there's something that looks like a ridge, but that might just be IPA sticking to it. The leg right here is actually lifting off. I'm not sure if that was during printing or whether that was during cleaning now that it's kind of warped. But I'm surprised that it did print, even though that it has warped. It looks like it's warped during printing because this is a bit thinner than the others. But this print is looking very, very good. So I guess that is one of the reasons why you have you're basically printing everything in support material. And I'm guessing I'm using this thing to remove the entire octopus. And at this point, yeah, the legs are moving. The legs are totally free to move. If I tilt this forward, you guys can see a bit more. It looks like so far they are, maybe not quite. They are elastic, they are flexible, but they might not be fully articulating. There we go. There's our little, oh, there's still a bit of resin in there. Let's actually try the, yeah, because obviously this is, this back part is hollow, but it doesn't actually save any resin because you're pulling it out with the part. So I'm wondering, if I put this in the basket, will it destroy the print? Let's try that. Let's actually just try that. So, what material is the build plate made out of? Aluminum. So this just goes in the basket, in the tank, and we're going to wash it again. So this actually doesn't have any resin on it because it's only been in contact with cured stuff. Now I guess I can also put the platform on it again, because then now obviously is that resin drip and that's going to wash it off. So let's just try it again. I've never used the curing station before, so this is an experiment for me as well to see how aggressive this entire washing cycle is. How temperature resistant is the resin? The thing with resins is they're not a thermoplastic, so they don't get soft. Well, I guess they do get soft if you heat them up, but they don't have like that melty glass transition softening curve that a thermoplastic has. They will degrade with increased temperatures, but they won't melt per se. Of course, the exact characteristics depend on the exact resin you're using, but temperature resistance works differently for resins than it works for filaments. Wasn't I supposed to leave it open? Oh yeah, right. Put the spatula in there as well. That is actually a good idea. Can you use it with third-party resins? Yes, absolutely. Neither of these two machines are chipped or like restricted in any way where you couldn't use it with third-party resins. Like all you do is you pour in the resin into the tank, and you can adjust the print settings in Prusa Slicer to whatever you want. I think you can even generate G-code for other printers using Prusa Slicer. Well, you definitely can. Can the rotating speed be adjusted? Let's try, because I want to find that out too. So rotation speed. So yes, you can actually curing speed. Can we cure the parts at full speed, please? Washing speed, 10 out of 10. So we can just reduce it down to, let's say, 1. If we say start, that's how fast that goes. And if we take a look inside the top here, there is basically no vortexing happening. what happens when you mix resins. Apparently you can adjust resin properties by mixing resins. Apparently that is something you can do, and some resin manufacturers actually recommend. This one goes up to 11. Oh yeah, wait. We need to check that. Hold on, rotation speed, washing speed. Keeps clicking. Like a long press. No, it can't be. Why would they make it to 10? All right, but let's get this thing out. This should be clean now. Just needs a minor firmware change. Yeah, so obviously these two machines are open source. Both the, oh no, I didn't want to do that. Both the SL1 and CW1 are still fully open source, as is anything Prusa does. So if you want to mess with the firmware on the CW1 or on the SL1, or if you want to use the slicer for something else, you definitely can do that. So let's try this platform release here real quick. So apparently there is this button that you press and the entire thing lifts down, and oh yeah, that's so much easier. So I will let this dry in the drying chamber. You want to dry it first. Yes, we've seen the modes. So let's get the spatula out there as well. So apparently this is safe for IPA, mostly. And then there's our little octopus that has completely survived the full-duty spin cycle. However, the legs are not moving. The legs are not free. I thought they would be, but it looks like it's. We may be able to just break them free. I feel like they're slightly bendy and movie already. Movie legs. Yes. I've broken this one free. You can totally break them free. It's just that they're right out of the printer. They don't come out completely free. So once you break them free, they do fully articulate. But let's get them, or let's get it cured. I'm quickly gonna wipe it down here. Well, let's get it dried first. So technically, is it drying if it's not water? Is water the only thing that's wet? That's the real question. So this is what we have set up here. And the inside looks like it's all stainless steel. So it should be okay when it comes to water. Oh, that actually doesn't go around. Should be okay. So let's not do curing. Let's do drying. Cover is open. So basically this is just gonna spin it, maybe? Yeah, slowly spin it, and it's ramping the fan up. Why am I putting the bed in there as well? Because it's also got IPA on it, and I do want to dry the bed as well. Is water wet? Is water itself wet? Well, is the water getting wet if you add water to it? It's an interesting line of thought. I'm not sure if I can smell IPA out of the CW1. Let me check if you can get replacement filters for the CW1 and SL1. Prusa shop. So the bed still had resin on it. We'll check. I'm not going to harden it onto the bed. I would like the shop in English, please. So accessories, SL1 accessories. That's not a lot. So you get the CW1 and you get the basics of 3D printing, which you should be able to download as well. Resin? Tough. Oh, they have casting resin as well. So the tough one is the ones that you use directly. Oh, they're also selling third-party resins. And the cast one is one that you actually burn out before using. So it doesn't look like they're actually selling replacement filters yet. So not too happy about that, because filters are something that are going to wear out. Though I feel like eventually they're going to have to. So those log in to see the parts. You have to be logged in. You have to be logged in. Okay, thank you for that. Thank you for that. I don't have a Prusa account actually. Guess I'm gonna have to create an account and register these machines. Though you've obviously seen the serial numbers of these. Okay. Okay. So yes, apparently you can get the replacement parts, but only for actual customers. You have to log in, you have to log in, you have to log in. Okay. Check for IPA fumes with an open flame. I guess I could do that. I could also check with the light switches, but yeah. Let's see how effective this drawing is. Only invoice numbers count. Well, I guess I'm never getting replacement parts then, because these machines were sent by Prusa without me actually ordering them. So yes, it doesn't dry in between parts, obviously. Oh, this is warm. How did this get so warm in here? I guess that's what the... I do have my FLIR camera here. Yes, I do. Ha! Live science. I'm hoping this thing is charged. So there must be a heater in here because they're telling you to keep the lid closed. So I'm guessing there is some sort of a heater system in here. Not showing you guys my pen. No, I don't want to use your freaking beta app because the beta app is horrible. No. Yes. There we go. So this entire thing, oh, it is quite warm. So it looks like this is actually a heater outlet back here. Oh yeah, and this is noticeably hot. Just get a rough temperature. So this is 45 degrees. So this was a heatsink, but the other way, like they've just attached a heater to a heatsink and are cooling that into the enclosure with the fan. Yeah, so this is quite well warmed up. Interesting. Well, the bed, of course, being aluminum, doesn't really heat up. But this one is dry. So that did work very well. Nice. Oh yeah, there was still resin on the bed. You were correct. Random person from chat. Love you too, random citizen. So obviously the inside of the CW1 I fully expect to just turn into a mess over time, because you're always gonna have some resin spillage and stuff in there. So let's do curing next. Curing, and we're just gonna have a little octopus in there, start curing, and I'm guessing the cover doesn't really do anything for keeping light in there, so we're just gonna do it like that real quick. Can resins be used as glue? It's essentially the same stuff that dentists use for, oh, there's actually just noticing that there's a small strip, or a small, come on, a small UV light underneath the platform there as well, which is why this is perforated, I think. So you do get curage from underneath. So I'm guessing I should put that right there. Probably can't see much of that, but there is a strip underneath here, and then of course the two in the back. This is some powerful UV light. I would guesstimate this is like 50 watts of UV or something. 50 to 100 watts, I'd estimate. Not healthy. Dude, glasses, they filter out the UV light. Yes, it's not fantastic. You shouldn't do this, but I'm just doing this for a demonstration. 52 watts? Okay, that's nice. Free suntans. This does not tan your skin, I believe. And it's not anymore. Oh, and there are two more lights. I'm just noticing that. There are two more lights up top here in the mount for the for the pan. So up here you've got LEDs, and they do actually get pretty warm. So yes, it's not UV, it's violet light. Well, 405 nanometers is like technically UV, but it's not deep UV or anything. So actually this is getting tiring. I'm just going to close this lid and let the printer or the CW1 do the rest. And there's almost no, so there is literally no UV light visible through this lid. There is a bit of a slot down here where you can see through. All right. Do not put it in the middle to cure from. That is good that the manual does say that. Work on it without gloves. Yeah, I guess at this point we can work on it without gloves because the resin itself should be cured. Probably bad for your eyes. Yes, this is why I'm wearing glasses. Glasses do filter out UV, at least these do, so any direct light is not going to hit my eyeballs. And also the very front layer of your eye does filter out UV, so it never hits your actual retina. Though I'm not a doctor, don't take that as like legally binding advice. So the 58 or 25.8, I was reading that backwards. The 25.8 degrees is, I guess, the internal temperature, similar to how the SL1 does measure the internal temperature as well. Contacts also filter UV. Yes, anything that is glasses or optical equipment usually does filter out UV. I'm not sure if they were actually heating the inside more, but yeah. I'm guessing this should be fully cured now. So let's give it a fingernail test. What do I think about curing in a water bath plus UV? I have never tried that, but I will need to. At some point. I guess as an upside, the entire inside of the printer should also be sterilized. So come on, there we go. I feel like there may be a few more applications still out there for the CW1. So let's actually put this down on a table, which makes it a bit easier to film. There we go. There's our finished print. Little octopus. Maybe we should snip off the support. Oh, we do have the flush cutters with us, right? Yes. These are Yato that they're giving you. So no sterilizing? Okay. Yeah. Wrong EV. These are spring loaded. Okay, the grease in these was still just a bit tough. Is it better to remove supports before or after curing? I would say after, because you don't have to dig through like messy, nasty resin, but it might be a bit more pliable before you cure, so that just really depends on what you prefer. And this resin is very brittle. It just shot the support up against my glasses. You know, when dealing with resin, because it is some brittle stuff, do wear eye protection, because that would literally have landed right in my eyeball. But wearing glasses. So support is actually coming off fairly nicely. And there we go. Sorry if that was just entirely blurry the entire time. Little leg that moves, so this is fully articulating at this point. Yeah, and I would say print quality is, as expected for resin, very good. And I'm actually not, you can feel the layers with your fingernails. Actually, if I push my fingernail in here, yeah, this doesn't go in. This is fully cured. You can see I've made a bit of a scratch on the back, so this is 100% hard. Break the rest free. I'm going to break some of these other ones free, yeah, so that works. There may actually be a bit of uncuredness. Oh, these are breaking. These aren't breaking free necessarily. Okay. There may still be a bit of uncuredness in these joints because it's obviously hidden or obscured from the UV light. There we go. There's a little resin octopus. We can actually zoom in even more. Look at that. So I'm very happy with that print quality. I'm very happy with the printer being, kind of reliable, even between powering it off and, restarting the print with without a recalibration, which some of you pointed out that's not fantastic and I should have recalibrated. But let's do a quick summary of my build experiences so far. Now, this is not a review. This is just my first impressions after building the SL1, unboxing the CW1, and using them both for a first print. Trying to follow the manual, both the user manual for the CW1 and the assembly manual for the SL1. I've probably made one little assembly mistake which caused the resin sensor to not work, though I'll have to debug that and figure that out. Now, I specifically asked Prusa to send me the SL1 as a kit. I always prefer my printers that I test as a kit because I get to build them, I get to live stream it, I get to experience how the printer is built internally. And would I actually recommend getting this printer as a kit? Not sure. It's not that much more expensive as an assembled one. Well, I guess it's the same price jump as with the Mark III. If you're buying an SL1, you're probably, it's much more expensive than something like the Mark III. It's much more expensive than most other resin printers, so you're probably using this in a setting where you need a reputable company, I guess. Would I recommend getting this as a kit? The build was not that much fun. It's not that long. It took me 5 hours with streaming it live, but it's not. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say the ANET A8 build was actually more fun, but that must have been, or may have been, because it wasn't with a huge chat, live chat crowd and YouTube crowd. It was just like totally no stress. It's a bit finicky, and you can probably tell that it's a printer that's not originally been designed by the Prusa team. It was an external company that designed the SL1, and then Prusa bought that company. So I think you can still tell in many of the design details. It's a very solid printer that you get in the end. Like, this thing is absolutely massive compared to the Mars, obviously, which is 1/5, less than that of the cost. The Mars is a bit more, a bit less built like a tank. It's still a solid printer, but this is it's just more solid. And I think you can maybe tell that in the print detail, that there's no wobble. Let me grab something from the, we could actually chuck these in there. So if we take a print from the Mars, this is from the Mars, obviously that, yeah, you can see some of the lines. So these lines, I'm told, are from the print actually sticking to the build plate on layer change. And I'm not seeing anything on this 200 layer octopus yet, though if you compare the heights, like there are sections of 200 layers where the Mars doesn't have that either. So that's what the tilting mechanism on the Prusa actually does, is it gives you more consistent layers. And that was the only artifact that I was seeing on the Mars. Other than that, the Mars was literally on par print quality wise, because it's almost the same hardware. The screen is probably very similar, if not the same. Cure times, I think, were very comparable. It's a very expensive printer for what it is on the technical side, but I'll have to look at whether it's actually such a massive difference in reliability down the road that it warrants the price upgrade. I feel like this printer could have been built cheaper, but that's just my first impressions. CW1, really cool machine. I think I was really excited about this. I'm still really excited about this because it just makes that entire, you now have your oozing wet, uncured part straight out of the printer. It makes that process just so far a lot easier. There's obviously 4 liters of IPA in this machine, more than a gallon of IPA. You're gonna have to deal with that at some point. It's still not totally taking all the pain points of resin out, but I think this is kind of mandatory for a good resin printing experience, because chucking it into an IKEA bin and sloshing it around by hand and then somehow pointing a UV light at it, it's doable, but it's not fantastic. So yes, obviously, before I can say you should go out and buy it or you should not go out and buy these machines, I'm gonna have to use them more. I can't go out and you know, recommend for or against them based on my first impressions, but so far they're solid. They're just really expensive, and I wouldn't recommend getting the kit. I would actually recommend getting this one built, because usually you don't have to dig into these printers as much as you would dig into FDM machines. That is my one recommendation, or my one reason why I usually go out and recommend kits for you guys as well. Not only are they cheaper, but you actually learn about the machine internally and how everything fits together and works together. With this printer, I think it's just very hands-off. Your user interfacing parts, which is the FEP film and the resin and the bed, you can get to those. You can work through those, but everything else inside the printer is probably a zero service setup. But yeah, let me know if you have any more questions on this machine. It is 10:17 p.m. here. Thank you for asking, B Winky. Does the Elegoo Mars plate fit the CW1? It does not, because it's a different mechanism. So this one has this little pin that pokes out. Actually, I can open that. So it has this positive pin that goes in here. The Mars, you can see in the review, actually has the leveling mechanism attached to the bed itself. It's also a bit less rigid, or a bit less well set up, because as you take your part out and you try to peel your prints off the build plate, you may end up changing that bed leveling. Here you take the entire platform out and you just have the platform itself, and it's a rigid part in itself. It's just this entire part where there's no adjustment, and the adjustment stays inside the printer. Which also means you can have several build platforms and just swap between them without having to recalibrate. Whereas the Mars obviously has a calibration piece at the build platform, so you have to calibrate every platform individually. Right, what's the max build dimensions? It's the same between these two printers. It's a 5.5-inch phone screen. It's 6.8 centimeters by 120 something by height is probably more than you'll ever need. So I guess, 3 Gusner, after 400 plus hours, you might need to change the LCD. So kit is still a good idea. I don't know how much longer the LCD will last by getting actively cooled, because obviously one of the main reasons why these LCDs fail is because they have to block and absorb so much energy from the UV LEDs, and so they heat up and they fail. That is my guess why they do fail. So because this one actually has the LCD actively cooled, I would think that the screen itself lasts a lot longer than the other units that don't have any LCD cooling. Is the layer exposure time constant? It is constant. Making PCBs with it, that's going to have to be another story. But I think this is okay. One last question, because that's a good one. Is the speed better than the cheaper ones? It's roughly on par, because the curing time in this one, at least the way it is set up with the Prusa resins, is 7.5 seconds, and you can look up what the other ones are. They're in that same ballpark. They're maybe 10 seconds, there may be 12 seconds with some resins. But some are also 8 seconds or lower, so it's in the same ballpark as cheaper resin printers, speed-wise. Does it have a heater? I don't think so. I've not found one. Okay, I think that's the indicator to call it a day for now. Thank you all for being here. Thanks for joining me on this endeavor of getting the Prusa SL1 and CW1 going. If you're interested in buying these, you can find the link in the description. As always, I would appreciate it if you do subscribe if you want to see more like it. If you've enjoyed the stream, give it a thumbs up. If not, give it a thumbs down, obviously, or watch something else. Have a nice evening, and yeah, if anyone's at Form next, I'll see you there. I'll do fist bumps as always. See ya. Have a nice one.